Welcome to this, the 24th in our series, The Mystic Bible. And yesterday in our journey towards Easter in these little 4-minute slots. And as we've been looking at these beautiful images from a 500-year-old Bible, I threw open a challenge to discuss some of the supernatural experiences perhaps that we've had in our lives, but which we don't talk about and which we find hard to discuss perhaps. And several people have sent emails in talking about things that they've seen, things that they experienced, things that they heard, miracles within their own lives, and quite often, just like the image that we have before us, quite often they're coming from people who are very practical, very down to earth, and who are simply saying, within my normal day-to-day life, I felt this, I experienced this, which is very much what this 500-year-old Bible has been trying to tell us throughout the last several days that we've looked at it. The people who are experiencing these mystical things are living, breathing people. And in the case before us that we see, the description of Jesus calling his first disciples, Andrew and Peter here being called from being fishermen. Now, look at the fishing boats behind them, the fishermen still carrying on with their work. It's obviously a whole community of people here. And Jesus has spoken to these two, and you can see from the simple halos, and my goodness, what a simple piece of art, literally just a blank, creating the image of the circle above their heads, indicating that something supernatural was happening within this very pragmatic and down-to-earth situation. So what are we saying tonight? Well, quite simply that the experience of the artist who put together the images for this Bible 500 years ago looks and sounds remarkably similar to what I was receiving in emails from people who've engaged with these videos, that God and the supernatural and an understanding of spirituality were not something distant and separate, but that they were fundamentally part of the practical real world that we all live in. So that was nice, and I'm really touched by the fact that people were willing to write in and talk about those things. So all I'm going to, as we go into the thing for tomorrow, I suppose the next thought is to say, so what's the difference? What's the difference between all the dragons and the monsters and the mystical creatures that we see in the Bible that we've looked at, and the experiences that we've had? Well, maybe our experiences are a little less fantastical, or maybe they're a bit more graspable in terms of our understanding. But that's also, of course, because that's built into our modern world, where we also have all this technology and where we have different ways of engaging with the miraculous and the supernatural. Ultimately, and my conclusion for today would be, ultimately, the difference between us and the 500-year-old images that we've had might be as little as the way we express it, or how often we express it, or how often we are willing to engage with it. It might simply be opportunity. So I leave you with that thought today. Yesterday, we were engaging with the mystical journey through honesty. Now we use the rational and we look at it and say, I wonder if this stuff is going on all the time. What if it's just that we don't talk about it anymore? Or what if we dismiss some of these beautiful mystical things as being something down to earth because we can now explain it? So I'll leave you with this wonderful image of Jesus and the first disciples being called from the sea, and their beginning of their mystical journey from practical fisherfolk to people who became saints, disciples, apostles, leaders in the Christian faith. Thank you for listening. More of this tomorrow.